Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft, here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I'm not sure I've ever heard anything quite like what Kyrie Irving said last night, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about what he said.
You mean you could decipher part of what he was saying?
I'm about to try.
We're going to take it minute by minute. This could take a while, guys. Well, yes, Kyrie Irving did have a lot to say last night, and let's talk about it right now. He posted a 20-minute Instagram live session yesterday where he opened up about his decision to not get vaccinated, despite the Nets telling him he can no longer participate as a part-time member of the team. There was a lot there, but take a listen to a bit right here.
But I'm staying grounded in what I believe in. It's just as simple as that. It's not about being anti-vax or about being, on one side or the other. Like, it's just really about being true to what feels good for me. I'm still uncertain about a lot of things, and that's okay. If I'm going to be demonized for having more questions and taking my time to make a decision with my life, then that's just what it is. That's something I got to sit in. I know the consequences of the decisions I make with my life. I'm not here to sugarcoat any of that.
Okay, Shannon, what is your reaction to this?
Well, Kyrie's kind of backed himself into a corner on this one, Skip. And I think the Brooklyn Nets, they made it abundantly clear they're tired of this. We're going to talk about this a little later. They consulted KD. They consulted James Harden. And it's like, guys, we got to move forward. We can't be going back and forth with Kyrie. He's going to play half the season. Okay, he'll show up to practice, but he won't be able to play. And then he's unvaccinated, so how close will he be able to actually get to the players? So they say, you know what? The best thing for us to do is to put Kyrie on ice when Kyrie is able to be a full participant, a full-time, not a part-time player, a full-time player. We welcome Kyrie back with open arms. But it seems to me that's waning, Skip. Kyrie is a walking contradiction. He also said that it's not about the money. And in the same breath, the next thing out of his mouth, you think I want to lose all this money? Well, if it's not about the money, why do you care how much money you lose? He says that I'm doing what I feel is best for me. But you're on a team. When you play a team sport, you don't get to do what's in the best interest of you. Skipper, I'm a tight end. I want the ball. What's in the best interest of me is for you to throw me the ball all the time. I get all the passes. But that's not in the best interest of the team. I'm in a team sport. You play golf, Kyrie, you do what's in the best interest of you. You want to play tennis? That's in the best interest of you. But you can't do that. Everybody wants freedom. I got the freedom to say this. I got the freedom to do that. But what about the consequences? Freedom of speech, freedom of choice is not freedom of consequences. Does people not understand that, Skip? I think, and it's not the Nets. It's New York that has the mandate, not the Nets. But Kyrie, bro, look, and Kyrie, Skip, I'm not trying to demonize Kyrie. Say people trying to demonize him. Kyrie's done some amazing things for a lot of disadvantaged and people that's not in a position to help themselves. He gave money to the WNBA. He's given out scholarships. He's done great things in the community. But Kyrie, 715,000 people have died. Everybody just can't do, Skip, what's in the best interest of me is getting in my car going 100 miles an hour. But I put other people at risk. And then if I were to get caught or something bad, tragic were to happen, the consequences of my actions. Kyrie, being unvaccinated, bro, that's your choice. But you have to understand the Nets also, that you put them in a position that they have no other choice but to make the decision that they made. Kyrie's been a walking contradiction for he went to Duke, and he wants to, he's in the R&D lab. He's been doing research and development, and he's doing all this. He wants people to believe that. Kyrie, bro, this is about it. I don't know how you win this. Now, you're going to have people that man, that's Kyrie's choice. But, Skip, we've been getting vaccinated. Basically saying, if you're born in the United States, you've been getting vaccinated since you come out the womb. And now this is the stance that you take on this one. I'm gonna disagree. I respect his right to have a choice, but he has to understand that what comes along, the consequences that comes along with his choice.
Okay. I hear everything you just said, And the more I hear you and the more I think about what he said last night, the more my head hurts. Because what Kyrie Irving said last night makes even less sense than when he said the earth is flat.
Correct.
Seriously, I am not exaggerating anything I just said. Right. Last night was classic both sides of your mouth.
Correct.
It was classic oxymorons and non sequiturs and conflicting statements. It was classically delusional to the point that I kept saying, huh? 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 If I didn't know better, I would have thought he was punking us. Like he was just messing with us, and it was all comedy. It was all satire. Because that's the only way I can try to make sense of what was illogical and irrational and wrong-headed. And the truth is, it came off as flat-out kooky in the end, just kookiness. I love Kyrie as a basketball player. I have said many times, and you have concurred, and we're on the same page here, we support him 1,000% in what he wants to pursue in life. If he wants to be a revolutionary, visionary voice for the populace, if he wants to be a deeper thinker, if he wants to look under every rock and make people aware of what's really happening out in the real world, I support that 1,000,000%. You're just not going to be allowed to do it within the confines of a team concept. A league that is just trying to stay afloat.
Right.
It's trying to protect itself and its product the best way it knows how, with the best scientific data, and that is to get vaccinated. It's clear as the nose on your face. That's the best way. You get vaccinated and you continue to wear masks in the confines of the team concept.
Basically, the net says you can mess up your money, but you're not messing up our money.
That is correct.
It's simple as that.
COVID cost the Nets and the NBA millions and millions, but maybe billions of dollars. And everybody had to take some pay cut. And he is about to make $33.3 million if, in fact, he would just get vaccinated and go along with the concept of this is how best we can protect our product.
Right.
And instead, he's saying things that are making him even more untradeable than I thought he was yesterday, because he is so inexplicably unpredictable with his statements and his moods. You call him moody, you call him mercurial. Whatever term do you want to use, Skip. That nobody can trust him anymore. And if his stance made perfect sense to everybody, if he took a stance that seemed logical, at least you'd say, man, I got to respect that. I don't agree. Maybe you do agree or disagree, but you'd say, I get what he's saying. I don't even get what he's saying. Because in the end, he's saying, I'm neither pro-vax or anti-vaccine. I'm neither one. I just believe it's my duty in life to use my platform to support, to campaign for, to be a voice for the voiceless, all those people who are losing their jobs because of a public mandate. Time out. So help me out here. He didn't go deeper into that. He is supporting people's right to say, hey, I don't want to get vaccinated, and I do want to be able to go back to my workplace and threaten the health and the very lives of the people I work with.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. I support their right to do that. There's no way they should be losing their jobs. Yes, there is.
Yes.
I can only speak for me here. We're about to go into a situation where you're going to have to prove that you're vaccinated to even come on to this Fox lot upon which we work.
Or get tested every day.
Every day.
Ain't no, we was getting tested 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They said, nah, every day if you're not vaccinated.
If you're not vaccinated. And I am great with that because it makes me feel a little more comfortable. I have been uncomfortable through the period in which we've had to come into work with some people who are not vaccinated because I feel a little threatened by that. And the league doesn't care exactly for the players who are threatened. They care for the product that they are selling that allows Kyrie to be paid $33.3 million. Right. They're just trying to do everything in their desperate power to protect, to keep it upright. It's the NFL is just trying its damnedest to keep the product afloat, because every week we hear about 2 or 3 more COVID victims, right? We hear that X, Y, and Z can't play for NFL teams. Wait until the NBA starts. You know, and I know they're going to be weekly. He's on the COVID list. Correct. Okay. So how can Kyrie not respect that, not appreciate that, not define that better in the stance that he's taking last night? Because now to your other primary conflict, he is saying, come on, I'm not retiring. And then he goes into this long rant about, do you really think I want to lose my money? Do you really think I want to lose my job? Do you really think I want to lose my teammates who I would live and die? I'm paraphrasing now, but he just goes on and on about, do you really think I want to give this up? Yeah, I do. That's what you're doing. Right. You don't get it. I'm not retiring. Well, then they are going to retire you. Correct. Because that's where you're heading. Right. And I am not exaggerating that. Not only did the Nets move on, but Steve Nash yesterday was very clear about everybody is completely comfortable with what we chose to do. And it was a we, which he was making it very clear. Kevin was part of this. James was part of this process. And in the end, he's saying that we are completely sound in the choice that we made. Everybody's on board. That was the statement that he made. You and I both know, if Kevin Durant, James Harden says we still want him, Kyrie, they don't take this stance. But they realize we're here to win a championship. Skip, I don't think what Kyrie realized is that his platform is elevated as long as he's in the NBA and people can see his face. So just imagine, when you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Skip, who is the most famous painter you know? Well, we could argue that all night. When's the last time you heard somebody mention his name? Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. Kyrie, do you understand how this works? You get an opportunity to have this platform and it's elevated when you're in the NBA. Skip, he talking about, well, he doesn't. I agree with that. He doesn't want people. Slowly but surely you would fall out of sight, out of mind. And you would lose the power of your platform. Thank you. He says, well, I'm the voice of the voiceless because I don't think people should lose their job. Guess how many people lost their jobs during the pandemic? Because people lost their business, there was no job. There was no place for them to go to work, Kyrie. No. So these business owners are saying, hold on, no, you got to get vaccinated. All these health facilities said, no, you got to get. How you going to treat people if you unvaccinated? They come here to get help. They come in here, we bringing it to them. So, Kyrie, you need to understand what they're asking you to do as a part of a team is for us to get out of this. We need as many people vaccinated as we can so we can move past this, Kyrie. Yep. What's in the best interest of you is not necessarily what's in the best interest of everyone. Everybody can't just think, I'm just doing me, I'm doing me, I'm doing me, I'm doing me. That's not how it works. Yeah, because in the end, this is my personal view. When I got vaccinated, deep down I thought, maybe I can help save a life by not transmitting this to somebody else. If I have it and I'm asymptomatic, how do I know? But this is going to keep me from getting it. This is going to help me get through it. This is going to help society as a whole. So it's a we, it's not a me. Correct. And so when Steve Nash says this move that we just made makes complete sense to everybody here, it does. And yet, nothing Kyrie said made any sense to me because I would have preferred to hear a conspiracy theory. You people don't understand what the government is doing to you. It's your third eye theory, right? If he gave me a third eye theory, a complete conspiracy theory that he believed in with all his heart and soul, and if he had taken a stand last night and said, trust me, 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll look back and say, Kyrie was right about this.
Right.
It's another earth is flat kind of theory,
Right.
but maybe there is something. We don't know about the vaccine, the long-term effects.
Right.
I can't tell you 1,000%. I just know it's working right now. It's helped clear it up a little bit, but we're still in the throes of the pandemic. Please just read the reports. People are still dying every single
and
day.
Hospitals are still being overflooded.
Overflowing. And every day and night, I read another story from another mother about just warning everybody, you don't understand just how severe this is right now. I just lost my child over this. Well, it's still going on. It's not dissipating to the point that it's no longer a threat to our society or our workplace.
I tell you what just happened. And I don't know how Kyrie is going to take this. But Kevin Durant says, this basketball thing is bigger than you and our friendship. Because he could have shot this whole thing down. He could have said, I want Kyrie. As long as Kyrie is Kyrie, don't stand down. Kevin Durant basically said, I would rather win a championship than have Kyrie blow this thing up. James Harden said the same thing. They said, we respect Kyrie. Kyrie's still our friend. But he ain't a bigger friend to us than what possibly winning a championship.
Said. They didn't exactly use those words, but that's what they told
their actions.
You. That was the message they sent.
But their actions.
That is correct. And James went so far as to say, you know, we have two pretty good leaders still. Kevin's a good leader. I'm a pretty good leader myself. So we're going to be okay. And we detailed yesterday, that's a pretty loaded basketball team.
Absolutely.
Would they obviously be better with? Yes, they would be better. But I think they're still a slight favorite without him.
Skip. Even when they touch the court, they still have, no matter who they play, they still have the two top players. If you put any other two players against anybody, you take the Bucs, you take the Lakers, whomever you believe, they still, when they take the court, they have two of the three top best, two of the best four players on the court. So their two pair is better than anybody else's two pair in the NBA. That's factual.
That's factual.
So absolutely they have a great chance. And they says, hold on, we're not finna have you blow this up. No. This is not finna happen, Kyrie. Hey, we wish you well. Hey, you do your thing over there. But we're moving full steam ahead in order of winning a championship because we don't know. Who knows what happens next year or the year after that? Somebody else might put a big four together. This is our opportunity right now, and we're not going to have you undermine it doing your thing. Hey, that's your freedom. Do that. We respect that. But your freedom of choice has consequences, and the consequence is you can't be a participant of this team until you're a full participant, which means vaccinations.
Okay. So later in his remarks, he says that you cannot demonize me, and I don't think anybody is trying to demonize him. And he went on to say, this is my life. We concur. I get to do whatever I want with my life and my body, and you're telling me what to do with my body? Nobody's telling you that. Nobody.
Right.
You can go home and do whatever you want.
Whatever.
Seriously, if you want to walk away from basketball and pursue a higher, more noble cause, I'm down with it. I'm good with it. You're just not going to get paid by the Nets, and you can't continue to cling to the delusional notion that, maybe next week I wake up and I'll just go back to the Nets. At some point, they're going to say, we moved on.
Yeah, but Skip, I think they look, I think he has started rubbing the Nets the wrong way the moment he opened his mouth and says, we don't need a coach.
I would agree with that.
I think Steve Nash took that. That's a very disrespectful thing for you to say, that we don't need a coach, that we can coach ourselves. And then the unpredictability, Skip, you cannot. Everybody, that's Kyrie, he needed. Okay, fine, you need a day. Maybe there's some mental issues that he was dealing with. Who knows? But you can call your boss. You can call your employer and says, this is what I'm dealing with. I need some time. You just don't go away and leave people to Steve Nash. I don't know what happened. I was expecting him. I don't know. And yada, yada. That
is true.
That's all you have to do.
He hung him out to dry because he had to keep dealing with the media. I don't know. I haven't heard from him.
So but Skip, for the longest time, when you are great at something, people let you skate on a lot of time. If Kyrie didn't want to come to practice, Kyrie didn't have to come to practice. If Kyrie didn't want to do this, Kyrie didn't have to do that. Kyrie's being held accountable now. And we saw this because when he was in Cleveland, Skip, well, he was tired of LeBron. LeBron, Shannon, you just mad because he left LeBron. Okay, I want to be coached. I want somebody to put me in a system so I can succeed. He go to Brad Stevens in Boston. And then what happened? It was everybody else's fault.
I agree with that.
And then he goes.
I didn't agree with you at that point because I thought he was going to be okay, and it was his turn to say it's my team and my time.
Right.
And it didn't work.
Right. Skip, everybody's not meant to be a leader.
Yep.
And that's the big. Just because you're great at something, that doesn't mean you're qualified to lead. Mm-hmm. Some people can be great and perfectly and be in the back. And I'm not so sure, given Kyrie's history and his unpredictability and the moodiness, that he's qualified to be a leader. And so the Nets, and basically what the Nets said is that we talked to the higher-ups. Steve Nash, Sean Marks, KD, Harden, and the owner. Okay, we huddled up. Okay, what play can we run? Mm-hmm. We run the play that we move forward without him. Period. Not no part-time. No. Not no he can come, he can practice, but can't play. We move forward without Kyrie being a part of this.
Yep.
If and when he's accepting of being a full-time participant, we're glad to welcome him back. But how much longer is that long? Because I think we're going to do what Sean said. That max deal extension, no, we can't deal with this.
Well, I'd say
we can't deal with this.
So maybe the only statement he made last night that did make a little bit of sense was the statement of, I'm still uncertain about a lot of things, and that is okay.
Yes.
It's okay for you.
Right.
You're going on 30 years of age.
Right.
You're a veteran NBA basketball player. Maybe you're not a veteran human yet.
Right.
But it's the concept that I've often talked to you about, my friend Tom House's espoused, called suspended adolescence. Nobody has ever made Kyrie grow up, and now his feet are being held to the fire.
Right.
You're being forced to make a decision that he's had a long time to make. This didn't just come yesterday.
Thank you.
And he's saying, look, I'm not sure. I don't want to retire, but I'm not sure. Well, you better get sure because the train is leaving the station right now.
But Skip, because you're uncertain, that doesn't mean the Nets have to sit around and be uncertain what you're going to do until you make up your mind. Well, we just going to sit here and in suspended animation and we'll wait for Kyrie. And then when Kyrie wants to join us, no. It's like we going on. The season's about to start next week. We can't be worried about it. Man, is Kyrie going to show up? Hey, what do y'all think? Would you have won this game if you had Kyrie? How good would this team be with Kyrie? Guess what? They say, man, we can't be answering every game. After every game, win or lose. After every shoot around, we have to take questions about Kyrie.
That's what would happen.
And I'm sure Kevin Durant and James Harden at some point in time said, look, guys, let's talk about the guys that's here. Let's talk about moving forward. Because right now, it doesn't do us any good to continuously talk about someone that's not here.
Yep. I got it. And yet, I don't get it.
I left that IG live. I like, now that's 20 minutes I'm never going to get back. I'm going to be at some point in my life like, man, I need 20 more minutes.
Didn't answer questions that complicated things for you?
It was. That's why I wasted 20 minutes.
It's still complicated, and we're still going to have more to say about this on Kyrie later on the show. No mercy. During Kyrie Irving's 20-minute Instagram live session yesterday, the All-Star guard spoke about the chances he would retire before taking the COVID vaccine. Take a listen.
Don't believe that I'm retiring. Don't believe that, I'm going to give up this game for a vaccine mandate or staying unvaccinated.
Shannon, do you believe Kyrie will play for the Nets or any other team this season?
Skip, I don't know what to believe. It's Kyrie. Skip, it's Kyrie.
Yep.
And he's unpredictable. And this is why teams are souring on Kyrie because of his unpredictability. I don't know what I'm going to get. He might show up and play, or he might say, you know what, I need a couple of days, and that's Skip. That it can't work like that. It can't. Teams are counting on you. They built this team around KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. They built that team around them.
Yep.
But one guy chose to, without telling them, just take an absence. Couldn't even call be a professional. Being a pro and being a professional are two different things. You can be a professional athlete but not handle your business in a professional manner. And I don't think he handled that. I don't think anybody thought he handled that in a professional manner. Now, some people, because there are people out there that anytime you buck, Because that's what they do. They buck the system. Oh, man, yeah, Kyrie, hey, just take you a day if you want it. But that's not how you do things in the real world. Mm-hmm. In the real world, you call your boss and says, I had a flat tire, or something, I had a family member that's sick that I'm not going to be able to come to work for the next couple of days. You give them that out of common courtesy. You just don't show up and then let people ask, have you seen Dave? Have you seen John? Nah, I ain't heard from him. Well, maybe he'll show up sooner or later. Mm-hmm. Skip, teams are looking around the league. He had it so good. He was playing with LeBron. I think everybody would agree. At the time, LeBron James was the best player in the NBA. And that was, even after winning championship, even after going to finals, Chris Paul waited, 16, 17 years to make one. Kyrie had gone to 3 back-to-back and had won one from 3-1 down. Nah, I don't want that.
And you know what? If he hadn't gotten hurt in that first one in 2015,
he might have won 2 or 3.
I think they would have won that one.
So,
I just do.
Yes.
Remember, they were up 2-1 without Kyrie and Kevin Love.
So Skip is like, well, you know what? I want to go. I want to be a lead. I want somebody. I want to lead. I want my own team.
Yep.
So he goes to Boston. Young talent, Jaylen Brown,
Tatum.
Jason Tatum, smart.
Yep.
They got a nice young nucleus.
They did.
Rozier, scary Terry Rozier. Nice. Nah, for whatever reasons, he started clashing with their.
He did.
I want to, he goes to Brooklyn. And then all of a sudden he gets KD, and then, me and KD, we don't need no coach. We can coach ourselves. So, Skip, his behavior makes it very, very difficult. Now, Skip, the guy's so immensely talented, somebody's going to take a chance on him now. That's what they do. Talent trumps all.
Yeah.
But at what expense? I don't know if there's a championship caliber team with his unpredictability, say, yeah, you know what, Kyrie's that missing piece, he's going to nah. Because I can't hitch my wagon to that, Skip. I can't put all my eggs in Kyrie's basket and then have him trip on the way to the market, and then there goes everything. So I think there's a greater chance he gets traded, but to where? I mean, Philly, we were talking about Philly as an idea. Man, Ben Simmons for Kyrie? Okay, fine, we can keep that moving. The salaries pretty much line up.
Yep.
Nah. I just, Skip, with him, I just don't. And then give him an extension? Man, you get that joke. Skip, this is only one. He only got 1 year plus an option. Yep. And the net says we good. Can you imagine giving him 4 years, guaranteed at almost $200 million? Man, Kyrie going to go and come as he please. Man, you know what? I think I'll play this week. I don't know about next week, how I feel. Something else might come up, and he want to fight for that cause. Even though vaccine, he want to be the people's champ for this. This is the hill that he wants to plant a flag on and says, I'm standing with you.
Okay. I hark back to the first comment you made as we opened the show today. He has backed himself into a corner. I believe he has. I think now foolish pride, and he's a very proud man.
Right.
It has seized control of him, to the point that he's dug in, he's taken his stand and his stance.
Yes.
And it's going to be very difficult for him to back off that stance in the time frame that's going to be required for him to be welcomed back to the Nets.
Right.
Because the clock is ticking. I don't know if it's a week or 2 weeks. There's going to be a little grace period right here, right now, probably up to opening night, maybe. Maybe the first game or two.
Right.
In which, hat in hand, he could go back.
Right.
And I think it would require a little bit of an apology or a clearing of the air with the team. But then,
Skip, if he were to go back, it's going to look like he was grandstanding the whole while.
I got it.
Because of why you make this stink when all you did was this.
Okay, that's what I call foolish pride.
Yes.
Because he wants to be a spokesman, the voice for the voiceless. And so he's taken his stand, and now he would look incredibly foolish if he suddenly just caved and went back.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And yet, if he thinks in his heart of hearts that Kevin and James and maybe Steve and the hierarchy, all the way up to the owner, if he thinks there's going to be a contingent a la Aaron Rodgers during the offseason that's going to come visit him at his house and get down on bended knee and say, enough is enough. Please come back. We can't do it without you. It's not going to happen.
I believe probably KD and Harden has had these conversations with him. Come on, Kai. Man, we got a chance to do. We got a chance to do something special, bro. Yeah. We need you on board. Yeah. We can really do something special. We can go down in history, Kai. Come on, Kai, bro. This is for the team. So now, like you said, Ain't nobody getting in their car, going across the bridge and driving Kyrie and try to beg him now.
No, it's over.
Yes.
He is in for a rude awakening.
Right.
For the first time in his basketball life, he's going to realize he is literally going this one alone.
Right.
Now it's up to him. He can't fall back on his friendship with KD, and I think they're very close to the point where KD is a baller, man. As you said, all he wants to do is just hoop, man. He knows they've got a really good team and a great chance to win it all this year, and he's finally saying, Kai, I get what you're saying, but I don't get it because all I care about is this. And all these guys do at night, if they're watching TV, every other commercial is a bunch of NBA players begging the populace to please get vaccinated. Okay, so that's all they know. They all got vaccinated. Whether they loved it or not, they got vaccinated for the betterment of the whole.
Skip, you covered this game for 40-plus years. What is the one thing that when you heard about the great players, what do they value more than anything? Friendship, all that. They put championship. I'm here to win a championship.
That's the only ship that matters.
Right. Well, hey, we could be, Kobe, we could be friends after. He said friendship, that might come. But them titles, that's forever. Magic, Bird. Them guys like, man, I'm trying to win a championship. We can be friends afterwards, or we can choose not to. But guess what? That'll be up there forever. Our friendship might come and go, but once that banner's up there, it ain't coming down.
And the championship ship has sailed on Kyrie in Brooklyn. They've made it, as you say, abundantly clear. We're just moving on. We're done. We can't take it anymore. We tried and we tried, and we gave you a long grace period, and now it's over. Maybe there's still a small window that's cracked open, but that leads us to trades. And I told you earlier in the show, last night was so kooky that it's going to send a message around the league. Do we really want to trade?
Do we want that problem?
Yeah, do we? And plus, we still have the vax problem going forward. In other cities, it's still going to be somewhat of a problem when they play in Brooklyn, San Francisco, L.A., right? So you still have some overhanging problem. And you also have the problem of he might just take off a month here or there for his mental health, which he did last year. He won't even tell you why. I just need some time away. Okay. But are you going to trade for him?
Yeah, he need to open up his own business if you want that kind of leeway.
That is correct. And he's highly capable. I think he's made a ton of money.
Yes.
And yet we look at teams, I don't know, a Sacramento or an Oklahoma City who's been notorious for taking on the big contract, you know, just the Chris Paul contract. Would they do it? To what end? Because he can be a free agent. So would you trade what for him? How much would you give for him? Well, now we're back to what we dealt with head on yesterday. On paper, just strictly on paper, where they do not play basketball, the trade of Kyrie head up for Ben Simmons made all the sense in the whole world.
Perfect sense.
It's perfect. It arguably could make each team considerably better. It's the perfect fit. Just move them. It's not very far away. It's just, you know, like an hour away. Let's just move. Let's trade places.
You get on the Excel and you're right there.
Okay. and yet, the news yesterday was the Sixers want no part of Kyrie off the court. You know, all the baggage now that's starting to build up with him, and it's not law-breaking baggage. It's just psychological baggage.
Accountability.
He's just difficult.
Can I count on him, Skip? Can I count on him? That's what teams want. That's what coaches want. That's what owners. Can I count on the guy?
Okay, so last night when he kept dropping hints, conflicting hints about, I'm not retiring. Do you really think I want to give up this money? Yeah, I do, because that's what you're telling me in one breath that you're.
But that's what you're doing.
You're going to fight. You're going to be the voice for the voiceless.
Skip, you don't want to give up the money, but you're doing it by not taking the vaccine and missing the home games, which is going to cost you an enormous amount of money. So it clearly tells me you don't want to give it up. But do you think I want to give this money up? I don't have a problem with the money. Like, I'm confused, bro.
I am very confused. But when I rang off last night and went to bed, I was 51-49 that he would see the light and finally give it up and come back to the Nets in the next week or so. And then after I slept on it and I thought about who he is and what he's been, what he's demonstrated, he's got the courage of his convictions on a lot of things. Earth is flat, Illuminati. name it, like all those conspiracy theories. He's got guts, and he wants to be seen as that revolutionary visionary. Right. Okay, I'm good with that. I support that. And will that prevail over this? Because if it prevails, dare I say we've seen the end of Kyrie's NBA career, because that's what he is facing. And I get what you say. Talent prevails in the end. Yeah, but it's so flawed. It's so unpredictable.
Right.
It's so undependable that I'm not sure the talent matters anymore.
Well, Skip, I think the thing is that he had these issues about accountability even before the vaccine became an issue.
Yep.
So this goes back pre-vaccine. Mm-hmm. Now, when you combine the two with the vaccine and his unpredictability of the mood swings and the mercury, whatever the term you want to use. And, he's like, well, sometimes people have bad days. Yeah, Kyrie, but when you work in a group setting, or you're a part of a team, or you got to put on a brave face, and you got to come to work, and you got to do the right things, bro.
Yep. Okay, so now let's deal with the last possibility here. So let's say they ship him out to Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Do you really believe Kyrie will say, sure, I'll go to Oklahoma City and play? Remember what Chris Paul did for a year?
Right.
It shocked me. Chris just said, okay, you got me.
Right.
I'm going to go there, and I'm going to show you. Right. And what did he do?
He got him to the playoffs. He got him to the playoffs.
That was one of the all-time overachieving years I have ever seen in all my time covering the NBA.
Right.
He lifted that team. I think it was the 4 seed.
4 seed, yeah. I think so, too.
You're kidding. Okay. Is Kyrie capable of saying, okay, watch this, I recommit? I don't know. I don't see that gear in him.
No.
I'm not sure. And I'm not sure because there have been reports, even from our man Nick Wright on the show before us, about that Kyrie has at least threatened retirement if, in fact, he gets traded. Well, would he just say, okay, that's it, I'm out? Would you go away? Would you just fade into the background? Like you said, you're going to lose a lot of your platform.
Right. And that's the thing. Like I said, Skip, even if you take the vaccine mandate, if you take that off the table, and just in Brooklyn, what has Kyrie behavior shown you in Cleveland and in Boston and pre-vaccine mandate? What has his behavior shown you? That he's unpredictable. I never know what I'm going to get. I might get one Kyrie happy go, and the next day he's withdrawn, and then the next day he might not show up for a week or two.
Yeah, and I got to give you this point also. Pre-LeBron going home, when Kyrie was alone in Cleveland as a high draft pick with not a huge amount of talent around him, he didn't exactly lift that talent, right?
He didn't. They kept getting #1 draft picks. They got the #1 draft pick 2 years in a row. Anthony Bennett and Andrew Wiggins.
They did.
With Kyrie as the drum major, leading the band director, excuse me. He leading the band, and that's what he got him.
So when you look at body of work, it's a little scary.
He's better in a co-starring role. You got to lead, and then you got to co-star. Kevin Durant needs to lead. James Harden can lead because we've seen James Harden take that Houston team and get them to the playoffs, get them high seeds. We know what Kevin Durant is. We don't question Kevin Durant. When it comes to basketball, question Durant is beyond reproach. Period. Kyrie, we've seen him, unless he has a LeBron James, Skip, before KD got that Achilles healthy, he had an opportunity to lead Brooklyn.
He did.
That was your opportunity to show. Without a big dog, a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James, Kyrie has an unbelievable talent. But there are a lot of guys that's talented. But do you believe they have what it takes to lead a team to a championship? Kyrie does not possess that ability.
And finally, I hate to even discuss this point, but it is a glaring point. He is injury prone.
Yes!
To the point of being brittle.
Yes. When
When you least need it, he's gone.
Right.
When LeBron needed him the most, 2015 finals, going to overtime, his knee got shattered.
Right.
And that was just a terrible injury. But last year, when they needed him most, when it looked like they were about to do in the Milwaukee Bucs, the eventual champs, he was gone.
It happened in Boston his first year.
It did.
What happened? Missed the playoffs.
He missed the whole, and they were much better without him.
So you got a guy that's unpredictable. You got a guy that's injury prone.
Boy, it's a tough sell.
It is. Whew. It is. And, hey, Like I said, I wish him the best. I mean, he's dug in on his stance.
Yep.
He's a very prideful young man.
He is.
And he's like, hey, he feels that he's in the right here. Mm-hmm. And when someone feels that they're in the right and they're very prideful, it's hard to move them off that heel.
Okay, here we go.
He's always had baggage, and this is a whole different level of baggage that we're going to continue to watch. Nets at Bucs Tuesday season opener. The clock is ticking right now, guys. We're going to move on to the latest surrounding the Raiders. Jon Gruden, as we know, is out as the Raiders head coach following his offensive emails that got leaked over the past week. Many people have wondered where Vegas owner Mark Davis stands on the issue, but he had a very brief response to it yesterday saying, quote, "I have no comment. Ask the NFL. They have all the answers." Shannon, what do you make of this?
Mark Davis said, I don't know what y'all looking at me for. They sent me 10 emails. They got 650,000 more of them, Skip. Mm-hmm. So, hey, ask them. They have all the answers. Mark Davis is not like his father, because the process of when Jack Del Rio was still coach, he was already talking to Jon Gruden, Coach Gruden. Mm-hmm. And when he got hired, he didn't go through the process of what they said the Fritz Pollard Alliance and the Rooney Rule says. You will interview minorities and give them a fair opportunity to get the job. Mark Davis is nothing like his father, because his father was the first to hire an African-American coach in the modern era. He was the first to hire a Latino coach, Tom Flores.
He was the first to win a Super Bowl.
As a matter of fact, he won 2. Mm-hmm. And he was the first to put a woman in a position of authority.
CEO Amy Trask.
Wait. Before even we thought about women even being in this position, he had one. So Mark Davis is not like his father. Now, he might have his dad's last name. He might try to wear white like his dad would wear, but that's the only similarities that they have. Because his dad was really a pioneer, a really forward thinker. They got guys down there, black HBCUs, that can help me win. He said, just win, baby. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you look like, your color. I don't care about anything. I just want to win.
That is correct.
That's how his father thought. So for me, Skip, what Mark Davis had really hoped, he had all this information that the NFL and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post or New York Times, they ended up leaking the rest of it. He had everything that they ended up leaking on Monday. He had that on Friday. He was hoping that it blow over. He was hoping that nothing else came out. The only thing that would come out is talking about D. Smith's lips. And he was going to be cool. Well, you know, that was very insensitive. I've talked to John. He understands he made a mistake. But when this other thing started coming out, and he started talking about the commissioner, and he started saying these other things, this was the groundswell, this tsunami, it could not be stopped.
Tsunami.
So he had no choice. He's like, John, I'm going to do the grace. I don't want to be the one to fire you, but I'm going to need you to step down. And he knew. That, Skip, remember I told you I came here on Monday. He said, Skip, I said, Skip, he tried to get in front of this. He said, I might have said some other things as well. Oh, you dry snitching on yourself? Ain't nobody ask you what. They were talking about the comments that you made. You telling us now there may be some more comments because he already knew. He knew what was coming. And so, Skip, they was like, Mark, we need you to go ahead and handle this. But since you want to do it on Friday, we going to give somebody else some more information and let it all come out. And now everybody knows, like, well, hold on. You had this information on Friday, and you still didn't do anything with it? So Mark Davis is like pushing it back. Hey, the NFL, they have all the answers. They got another 650,000 emails that I don't know anything about. Ask them. Mark Davis said, hey, my hand's clean. Hey, I'm just the owner. I did what I felt I had to do. No, you did what you were forced to do. Because given the choice, if you would have kept, if the only thing that had come out, Skip, was the D. Smith, Jon Gruden is still coaching the Vegas Raiders. It wasn't until the second and third part.
The avalanche. So, back in the day, I had the honor and the privilege of getting to know the father, Al Davis, the late great. He had his flaws. He was constantly at war with the National Football League, and he believed to his dying day that he got tuck ruled in Foxborough, which launched the New England dynasty and ended the Raiders' run toward a Super Bowl. I believe they would have won. And he believed that the commissioner himself got involved that night from New York to say, no, get him. Do him in right here, right now. The game would have been over, and you know the rest of the story.
That was Commissioner Tagliabue then. That was Commissioner Goodell.
Al pulled me aside the first day of training camp it was evening, and he pulled me aside, and we went over and sat in the then empty weight area where they lifted the weights outside, and he just filled my ear with what he thought of Tagliabue in that night. But to all your points, he was a revolutionary progressive in this league. You just look at everything. It's just one thing after another.
Right. When nobody was even thinking, Skip, no other owner was even thinking about that.
No. Black, Latino, female, boom, boom, boom. Breakthrough, breakthrough, breakthrough. And now the son has only one thing in common with the father. He's at war with the league for the wrong reason.
Right.
You can just see when he had his chance to comment to ESPN, he just blew it off in 3 lines. I have no comment. Ask the NFL. They have all the answers. War has been declared. Yet you're at war trying to defend a man who is indefensible. Correct?
Right.
But that's what he's saying. They got me.
Right.
Ask them. It's their doing.
Right.
They made an example of him. Well, he deserved to be made an example of. I get it. Or there are others who could. We get it. We got it.
He's finally held accountable for his actions.
Okay. Now to your other point about the Rooney Rule. Our man Jarrett Bell in today's USA Today wrote a scathingly great piece about what Mark Davis did not do when he hired Jon Gruden. And in fairness, Mark had made the point it had been like a 7-year quest to talk John into taking the Raiders job, which he had held under the father long ago, as you recall. He was the Tuck Rule victim that night. And yet John fell completely apart with the father, treated the father with little to no respect. I once witnessed a screaming match between the two of them. And John, a very young coach, was so full of himself that Al finally said, I can't take this anymore. And he traded him to Tampa, fatefully. And it was for it was 2 firsts and 2 seconds and like
$8 million.
$8 million. Okay. And it worked 1 year, but John took Tony Dungy's team and talent. And Rich McKay had been the architect of that, and he took it over the energy that he could generate, took it over the top. So I give you that. But my point is, when it came full circle back to the son blatantly ignored the Rooney Rule. In fact, he made a mockery of the Rooney Rule because he had already agreed in principle with Jon Gruden, and it became public in principle. And then all of a sudden, he tells his then black GM, Reggie McKenzie. I don't know if you ever crossed Reggie's path a little bit, but okay.
I think I played. He was with the Washington football team.
He was. But so he's still the GM, but only he's about to be not the GM. But he forces him to go interview 2 minority candidates, who at the time was the USC offensive coordinator T. Martin, and then the current Raiders at that point tight ends coach Bobby Johnson. Well, it's just a joke. And Jarrett Bell was outraged, and our friend John Wooten, who was then running the Fritz Pollard Alliance that oversees the Rooney Rule, was I've known John for like 40 years, and I have never seen him more outraged than what Mark Davis did to the Rooney Rule or didn't do with the Rooney Rule. And John wanted retribution, and Jarrett wrote about it, and I don't know if you remember, we talked about it, this is back in 2018 when he hired Gruden, that there should be retribution. There should be a penalty. And Jarrett Bell wrote that it should be just like Deflategate, where you have to sacrifice your first-round pick and $1 million in fines. Because it's of that magnitude. You can't set a new example of, well, he just ignored it, right? Because it's going to set back the minority hiring process 10 years.
And plus, Skip, he was already undermining the coach that he had, because you're courting a coach when you already have one employed.
That is correct.
So little do you know that you're undermining the staff that you have already, because you're out there courting. So what do you think this is going to lead to? I'm sure you hear rumblings. Could Jon Gruden be coming back? You know, Raiders might be interested, but why? I mean, it's easy, Skip. Everybody, man, he'll be a great coach. You call him plays, Skip. It's one thing to call plays. It's another thing to lead men. And I didn't think, Skip, and I told you, I said, Skip, I don't think it's going to work. I think the time has passed him by.
Yeah, I did think it was going to work.
He's too archaic. He's too set in his ways.
Well, he's Belichickian.
Yes.
If he can get away with it, but he needs the team to rise up. He needed Derek Carr to be his buffer in the locker room and to play at a Brady-esque level.
And we're going to see how long the Belichickian way works when you're not winning.
I agree.
That way works when you're winning because none of the other Belichickian disciples have been able to have that success. They try to come at Joe Judge with that iron fist and this guy with the iron fist.
It's not working anywhere.
And when you don't win, they look at you, man, get out my face.
Okay, so what's the most painful irony about what Mark Davis did to mock the Rooney Rule? He hired a racist coach, right? At least one who demonstrated a racist tendency.
Yes, and spoke openly, very insensitive. And you're going to get him there. Think about it, Skip, how hard it must be. You know, people say, I don't get an opportunity to live my true self, when they reveal that they've been living a double life. And it was very, very hard to hide this. Imagine what it's like to have these kind of thoughts in your mind, and you got to get up there in front of men. 70% of them, you got to get up in front of 50 through, now they got 15, 16. So about 70 men every day.
Every day.
And pretend like, guys, we won one, and I love you like we brothers.
Yep.
Think about how hard that gotta be. And you can't slip up. Because you can't slip up in front of the guys. If anything would have guys pick up on the instant, like, hold on, coach, what's up with that? And I don't see in college, I don't know how it is because it's been so long since I've been in college. But in the NFL, players will fight a coach.
Absolutely.
I've seen it.
Yep.
So you can't talk to him. Skip, that's a grown man. You can't talk to him sideways. No. You can't disrespect him because he gonna check you.
He could be a tyrant, but nobody ever accused him of being a racist tyrant. Right?
That's a whole different ballgame. You can say, oh, he run iron fist and we all these practices, we got all these meetings. Oh, you said what? Excuse me?
Okay, so this leads back to the question. I told you I was around him a number of times at ESPN, and obviously I never saw a hint of any of the bigotry.
Right.
But he's a shrewd operator.
Right.
He's not going to do that. What do we hear from Mike Tirico, who worked for 7 years, traveled 3 days a week? I never saw any of that.
Right.
And I believe Mike, and I love Mike.
Yes.
I believe that.
Yes.
Okay? Well, he was a shrewd operator. Did Mark Davis, who knew him very personally, like on an intimate, have dinner sort of basis, did he ever see any hints of this and still hire him? Should he have known any of this? Should coaches be vetted better in this day and age than they were before? Well, I'm a big yes on that, and it's hard for me to believe in all the dinner hours that Mark Davis spent with Jon Gruden that he didn't get little dribs and drabs, just a hint here.
And like you said, Skip, he had worked for his dad, even though that was 15, 16, 17 years ago. Yep. He had worked for his dad, so he had been around him. He had been very close with him. It's just like, Skip, when Jerry hired Mike McCarthy, he interviewed, he was the D coordinator at the Ravens. I forget his name. Marvin Lewis.
Oh, Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, Skip, that's just for sure. Man, he ain't finna hire no Marvin.
I agree.
He didn't have Marvin at his house for beer and nachos.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he had Marvin sleep up in a bedroom. And then have the son tell my dad, you like him so much, go ahead and hire him. That ain't what Marvin got. Marvin got to can't come to the Cowboy facility.
How well can you get to know a man in 4 or 5 hours late into the night before you say, that's enough, I hire you? Yeah. Right?
Well, you started drinking and eating nachos.
Maybe. I don't know.
But that's the thing with Skip is, look, that's a hiring process, and you know Jared Bell. I know Jared Bell very well, Skip. Man, billionaires don't like being told what to do. That's why they got that money, because they wanted independence from people telling them what the hell to do. And when you get this kind of money, you get a lot of independence. That's what money buys you. It buys you independence.
Remember,
screw you.
The son inherited the money from the father. The father made it all by himself.
And the father would look. The father felt that, okay, Oakland, look, this is what I need you to do. No, we're not doing that. Okay, I'm going to L.A. Yeah. But then the league says, hold on, you got to give us notice. You just can't pick up and move every time. I said, the hell I can't. It's my team.
Let's go to court.
He said, let's go to court. So he fought with Pete Rozelle. He fought with Paul Tagliabue. And I'm sure he had some run-ins with Commissioner Goodell. That's just the way he was.
The way he was wired.
No mercy. Kyrie Irving posted a 20-minute Instagram live session yesterday where he opened up about his decision to not get vaccinated, despite the Nets telling him he can no longer participate as a part-time member of the team. Take a listen.
But I'm staying grounded in what I believe in. It's just as simple as that. It's not about being anti-vax or about being, on one side or the other. Like, it's just really about being true to what feels good for me. I'm still uncertain about a lot of things, and that's okay. If I'm going to be demonized for having more questions and taking my time to make a decision with my life, then that's just what it is. That's something I got to sit in. I know the consequences of the decisions I make with my life. I'm not here to sugarcoat any of that.
All right, we're now joined by First Things First co-host Chris Broussard. Chris, your reaction to this?
Wow. Well, first of all, I agree with Kyrie in that little clip. He shouldn't be demonized. And I don't really think he has. But, I've got a family member who's anti-vax, friends who are anti-vax, and I still respect them, love them, respect their intelligence, even as I disagree with them. And it's the same with Kyrie. He has a right to do what he wants to do, but none of us are in a vacuum. And there are consequences to your actions. So Kyrie has to understand that. As far as the video as a whole, look, it was good to see Kyrie talk and not have anonymous sources speaking for him so we could hear from him. But I got to be honest, I think he spoke for about 25 minutes and said a whole lot of nothing. It was very convoluted. He was bouncing from persona to persona, in my estimation, from sometimes a savior. He was coming off like a savior, sometimes a victim, sometimes a martyr, sometimes a chastiser of the media. And so it was hard to follow what in the world he was saying. I think two points of clarity that he did make. One, he doesn't feel comfortable personally taking the vaccine. And that's why he's not vaccinated. Now, he didn't give us any reasoning. Religious reasons, scientific reasons, cultural reasons. He gave us none of that in 25 minutes. He just said he wasn't comfortable taking the vaccine. And that's his right. But to say, I think for him to say he's not anti-vax is either you're confused or it's disingenuous. I get it. He doesn't dislike people who get the vaccination. But for him, he's anti-vax. Why else would you walk away from your teammates who are counting on you to help them win a championship? Why would you walk away from the game that you said you've loved since the 4th grade? Why would you walk away from the organization that's giving you $136 million and is going to pay you $17 million this year to do nothing, to watch the games on TV like the rest of us? And so you got to be anti-vax if you're going against all of that. And I don't think, this voice for the voiceless stuff, I'm not disparaging Kyrie. We know he's got a good heart. Yes. Whether we agree with him or not, we know he's got a good heart. But don't tell me you're the voice for the voiceless and for those who lost their jobs because of the vaccine mandate. Those that lost their jobs aren't still being paid. You're being paid $18 million to not work. So you're not their voice. And so just stop saying that. The second thing is that I think this was maybe the most important thing. He said he's not retiring from basketball. And that's great because, one, we all love watching Kyrie play. He loves the game, so it's good that he gets to do what he loves. But 3, the Nets can now have a better chance to trade him. And they need to be on the phone seeing what the market value is. Hey, did you see the IG Live? He ain't retiring, so let's talk. What you offering me, So, I mean, they got to start moving in that direction and seeing what the market is for him. Look, they can start the season with him away and not trade him. They don't have to rush into it and see what they look like without him. I wouldn't give him away, but see what you can get for him and maybe move on. But overall, those are my general feelings, guys. It was a lot to make out of what he said.
Well, Chris, I believe in that. Skip and we touched on this earlier. I just believe Kyrie's backed himself into a corner. And he says he's doing what's best for him. Even though I disagree with it, that's his right. But it's also what's best for you, and your right and your freedoms also may have consequences. And the consequences of what you're choosing not to do, and the consequence is what they chose to do. They says, okay, we don't want you to be a part-time NBA player. And so what we did, we huddled up, for the lack of a better word. We talked to our two big guns, and they felt very for them to make this decision. Chris, James Harden and KD says, guys, we got to move on. We cannot have a guy that's half in and that's half out. We can, and I don't want to be in a situation that at some point in time, KD and James Harden going to say, look, guys, can we talk about the guys that's here? Can we deal with what we have? We wish Kyrie the best. Kyrie is still our friends. But championships trump friendships. When you're in a professional sport, in a team setting, championships trump friendships. And that seems to me the path that these two guys have taken. Skip, Chris, he's a walking contradiction. He says, it's not about the money. And then in the next line he says, do you think I want to lose all that money? Well, damn, if it's not about the money, why you care if you lose it? So I didn't get with that. The NBA, the NBA PA will not let the NBA set a mandate because the NBA wanted to set a vaccine mandate. Everybody they said, no, we're not going to do that. The city of New York has the mandate. And they said, in order for you to go into Barclays, if you got to be vaccinated. That's it. And so you choose this. That's your right, Kyrie. You have a right to not to take the vaccine. Absolutely. But you have to understand the Nets have an obligation to do what's in the best interest of their team, not just in the best interest of an individual. And I think this started early last year when Kyrie uttered, we do not need a coach. Steve Nash like, something wrong with this, something wrong with him. And then when you leave, Chris, you leave and you do not tell your employer that you're stepping away for whatever the reasons may be. Maybe it's a family emergency. Maybe it's a medical emergency. Maybe there's something that you're dealing with that you just need some time away. But you mean to tell me you can't be professional enough to tell them that? They got to ask, like, where's Kyrie? Well, Kyrie was supposed to be in the lineup. What's going on with Kyrie? And you leave people to answer questions for you? Nah, it's like, you know what? The vaccine mandate on top of all this unpredictability, Nets, I think the Nets said they've seen enough.
They have heard enough. So in the end, I sat back last night and I thought what I just heard Kyrie Irving say made even less sense than when he said the earth is flat. It was classic both sides of mouth. As Shannon said, conflicting statements to the point it became irrational and illogical and ultimately wrong-headed and just flat out kooky. It's like, what? Huh? I cannot compute. It makes no sense to me to the point that if Kyrie had given us a classic conspiracy theory about the vaccine, as Shannon calls it, the third eye theory. It will give you a third eye. If you want to go there, I'm good with it.
Right.
I'm actually good with anywhere you want to go because it is America and Kyrie has high IQ. Sometimes it's not connected to maturity and sometimes it just goes over the edge into irrational projections and conclusions. And I fear that's where he's headed because to Chris's point, you're not anti-vaccine. You're obviously
100% anti-vaccine.
Like 1,000%. Yeah. And that's fine. I got it. But you're saying that all you care about is using your powerful platform and your powerful mind to support, to lend a voice to the voiceless, those people who have lost their jobs because of a vaccine mandate in their workplace. And so I needed Kyrie to go one more step with me. Help me out here, Kai. You're supporting the people who are saying, I won't get vaccinated. I want to go to work every day, and I want to threaten the health and the very lives of my coworkers. Right. And I want to threaten the very product that pays me my salary. That's what I kept telling Shannon. All I care about right here is winning. We're trying to win together. We're trying to put on the best show we can put on.
Right.
And if we have to work with unvaccinated coworkers, there's some threat there that could derail us in our product. Right. And clearly, all the NBA is saying is we lost billions of dollars in the pandemic, and we don't want to lose another cent. And all the brightest medical people in this world we live in are saying The best way to fight back is with vaccines, and you need to continue to wear your mask when you're together in a basketball setting, right? So on the bench, in practice, around, they wear masks. It's as simple as we got to protect our product, right? That's all they're trying to do. And if Kyrie wants to make his $33.3 million, he's welcome to get vaccinated and participate in a team concept that is protected by vaccination at the highest level, right? Right. Okay, so Kyrie, are you really wanting to support those people who are threatening their coworkers? Right. I don't get it. Right. And I'm not sure he gets it. And the bottom line takeaway was that one line he just threw in. It was, I'm still uncertain about a lot of things, and that's okay. Well, it's okay with me if that's what if you want to be uncertain. You just can't be uncertain with the Nets anymore. Right.
Are you uncertain about retirement? So what else are you uncertain on? And Chris, here's the thing. What he realizes that the people that lost their jobs, a lot of people lost their jobs because the businesses went out of business because there was no jobs to have. Right. And because of why? COVID. A lot of people are leaving the workforce now say, we still don't feel safe. We don't feel safe. And the amount of money that they're offering us makes us feel less safe. I'm not going to go to work for no $10 an hour and there ain't no vaccine and people unvaccinated and I got to treat them. No, that's not serve them. That's not finna happen. Kyrie, there's 715,000 people that lost their lives. I mean, so a lot of people are being the voice for those voiceless. That's never gonna have a voice. So I mean, I get it, Kai. You know, like I said, Chris, he's done some amazing things with the money that he's made, what he did for the WNBA, and what he's done for some historically black institutions and paying tuition, and what he's been able to do in the community. I won't minimize that. I disagree with him. That's him. I can disagree, even though that's your right. But you understand that with right come consequences, and be it right. So that's the way that ball bounces.
So, Chris, sum this up for us. Gut feeling. A month from now, where's Kyrie? Is he playing basketball for somebody? Is he retired? What's happening?
Man, obviously it's hard to predict what Kyrie is going to do or this. Honestly, I think he's not playing. I think he hasn't been traded because I think the market's very low, and I think he's just sitting out.
Wow.
That's where I think he goes. Yeah.
It's crazy that we've come to that.
I hope he gets vaccinated and is playing for the Nets, you know?
But I
think that would be my guess.
Well, Chris, if he gets vaccinated, then he was just grandstanding. I mean, he's backed himself into a corner.
It's so wild that we've come to this. That
maybe he'll try to play off the I was never anti-vax. Okay. You know, I was never anti-vax.
We will
maybe
wait
that's
and
why
see.
he said that.
Every day, it could be something different from Kyrie, and we just don't know at this point. But, Chris, we do appreciate you chiming in. Thank you for your time today. We'll check in with you soon.
No mercy.
So Trevon Diggs is making a name for himself as the Cowboys' new shutdown corner. The former Alabama standout leads the league in interceptions with 6 after another pick this past weekend. He's on a roll. He has 12 games to get 8 more picks to tie the NFL record for most interceptions in a season and would need 9 to break it. Shannon, how much of a shot do you give him to break this record?
I give him 2% chance.
2%.
Yes, there's a reason why this record is still for almost 70 years. Dick Night Train Lane set this record in his rookie season. He had 14 picks. He never even got close to that again because why? They stopped throwing at him. And eventually that's what's going to happen to him. Yep. They're gonna stop throwing at him. Now I can see if he was a safety skip, he could roam the field and that. But they're just like when you play corner, I'm not throwing at time. I'm not throwing at these great Rod Woodson. I'm not going to throw at him. Rod ended up moving to safety. He did. And got a bunch of picks that way. But, Skip, I just think the thing is that, yes, he's off to a great start. He has incredible hands. He went to school, he went to Alabama as a wide receiver. Sure did. They moved him to the opposite side of the football. His brother is a wide receiver, so it shows that they both have very good hands.
And he said, he called his big brother, and he was in tears because Saban said, I'm moving you to corner. Right. And Stephon said, just embrace it. Right. You know, don't give up. Just say, I'm all in. Right. And look where he is now.
And look where he is now. He's arguably one of the top 2 or 3 corners in all of football. And so for me, I don't think he's going to get it, Skip, because I remember, Mark Carey, who came out with me, I think he had 10 one year. Champ Bailey had 10 one year. Xavier Howard had 10 last year. Yep. Skip, that's a lot of interceptions, but eventually they will stop throwing at you. They're not going to. It's not like a wide receiver, Skip, that you can shut him down because I throw enough targets at him, he's going to get the ball. You can't shut Devontae down, Skip, because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw him 15 targets. If he catches 8, he's going to have great numbers at the end of the game. In a situation like this, I just won't throw the ball your way. Then how are you gonna get picks if I don't throw the ball your way? So I don't think he's gonna get. I give him a 2% chance because anything's possible. But if you had to say, well, Shannon, put some money up. Nope, I put money that he wouldn't do it.
So you're giving him a milk chance, which is what you drink. 2%?
Yeah.
You give him a milk chance, which is almost no chance. No. I'm going to give him a shot. I'm going to give him a 40% shot.
40?
Because there's 17 games.
Yes.
And he's so far ahead of schedule that over the next 12, he needs 8 to tie and 9 to break.
Right.
The great Dick Night Train Lane.
I think 14. When Dick did, it was 12 games, if I'm not mistaken.
That's just ridiculous. I can't even go there. That's even before my time. Yeah. So I'm looking at the way he plays. He travels. So he's always taking the number one. He's taking the Devontae. And by the way, Devontae Adams is just playing. He's playing at a level that is getting to be Moss-like to me. He's about as explosive as I've seen since Randy Moss.
Right.
And yet, I look back at what you say about time, Deion Sanders. He's simply the greatest corner ever, and I don't even think it's even close. And I got in a big argument one time with Darrelle Revis about this, and I'll give Darrelle number 2, but I just can't go up there because I watched Deion up close and personal, and I've never seen anything like him before. It's like Barry Switzer said that first year he was coaching the Cowboys. He pulled me aside at one point and he said, it's like he's not governed by the same gravity that the rest of us are.
He was super light on his feet.
Super light on his feet. And so I look back at what was his biggest year of interceptions. It was that last year in Atlanta in '93 before he went to San Francisco. He got 7. 7.
Yeah.
And then he had 6 2 other times. And then I look at my man Revis. And the most he ever had in his 3rd year with the Jets was 6. So to your point, they developed so quickly an aura of invincibility that they just said, okay, I give up.
It's not worth the risk.
Okay. Trevon doesn't yet have an aura of invincibility because last year he was often a liability. And I witnessed a similar sort of explosion into the National Football League back in 1981. There was this kid out of Grambling, undrafted, named Everson Walls. And it was so bad, he was such an also-ran in camp that the first night of the first preseason home game, you get the flip card in the press box with all the rosters on it, and he was identified as Emerson Walls. Emerson, well, they didn't even know his name. And what did he proceed to do? That night, he blocked a punt. That was the first time he caught my eye, like, wait a second, who's that kid? Oh, Emerson is actually Everson Walls, and here he came. Well, he was such a liability early on, they just said, we can just terrorize him. You know, we can take full advantage, and he was so long and such a ball hawk that it started to happen. And he got the Cowboy record of 11, but he had some disaster days. There was a home game against Miami that I'll never forget because he got terrorized.
Well, the thing is, he has tremendous, but you got a guy like Diggs, you got to double move him early. You got to put him in fear because if you don't, Skip, the farther the game goes and you haven't double moved him, he's just going to keep shrinking the field. He's going to shrink in the field. So now when you throw a hitch, he's on top of you, Skip, because he ain't going to get out of his back pedal.
But when he plays, they don't play Devontae, but when he plays a Devontae-like number 1, I still think just as a sophomore cornerback, second-year cornerback, that they'll still say, we can get him every once in a while.
But I'm trying to think, when you say There is no, I mean, let's see, I mean, they're going to play the same kind of coverage everybody else is playing against Tyreek. They're not going to single him one-on-one with Tyreek. They're going to play man coverage, but they're going to keep those safeties deep. Dare Kansas City to run the football. So that would be his best matchup, I think, moving forward.
Probably. I'll give you that one. Like in New England, I don't know if there's an obvious, I guess
Jacoby Myers or Aguilar or Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah.
But, Skip, they spread the ball around anyway. They don't have no one guy that says, okay, you're getting 12 targets. They don't have a Devontae. They don't have one of those guys like a D-Hop. Now, if he played D-Hop, oh, you know what? They do play D-Hop. So
okay,
we'll find out.
It will come down to how many opportunities.
Exactly.
And then it will come down to how many of those do you
come down with.
Yeah.
Right.
I love him because he's got receiver skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I love him because he's starting to play with a swagger that I haven't seen since Durrell or maybe even back to time.
Yeah, but that's what you got to, Skip. You got to have a short memory. You got to have supreme, because they're asking you to backpedal as fast as they're asking a man to run forward.
Okay.
And that guy knows where he's going and you're guessing. Your film study is saying, okay, with this split and this formation, this is what he likes to run. And you got but what if it's something else, Skip? Because we should tell all the time, we played around with our splits. Because teams study that. Oh, you 2 yards outside the numbers. Oh, you think you finna run that bang 8. You think you finna run that skinny post on me Sharpe?
Yep.
It ain't finna happen, bro.
Okay.
So you had to play around with your splits.
So what did he do to Sam Darnold late in the Carolina game? Because he was taking DJ Moore all over the field. That was one where they're going to go to DJ, right? If we could see that interception late in the Carolina game. He jumped this route. He just said, I got this. And then he just took it right away from a very good receiver. Right?
Yes.
That's instincts, ball skill. It's all.
It's what we call. That's what they call. If you skip, you can't see it all the way. But he never gets out of his back pedal. He says, "I'm gonna play the sticks." It's 3rd and 2. And there's a great chance that you're gonna run this stop route. And if you throw it, I got something for you.
It's classic cluing. He was cluing down distance route.
Yes.
And he jumped it. You could have gotten burned.
Right. If you double move him, Skip, he also could have hit the ball. Could have hit the turf. You break it up. But it seems to me that every ball that he gets his hands on is not hitting the ground. He's coming down with it.
Then the one against Glennon the other day, later in the game, was classic Neon Dion, because if we could see that route, it's just the ball is up for grabs, and guess who's going to go get it? Guess who's going to go get it? The receiver is going to go get it, because the better receiver at that point was Diggs. Right? Okay. So that he kind of looked a little Dion.
I saw time he picked Rocket Ismail. But he picked him on a post. He went over the top of him. The ball was perfectly thrown. Time went over the top of him, picked it off and held it up over his head and brought it. Like Skip, you saw it play, but people gotta like go back and Google and YouTube it to see just how good time was.
But it was absurd. Then he got too good for his own good.
Because they wouldn't.
Because then after a while you just say, okay, we give up.
Because he told Brett, he picked Brett Favre in the playoff game. He's like, okay, you throw it out here again. Now I'm going back. I'm a high step on you, Brett.
Well, I did tell you the other day, what did my heart the best was at the end of the game, little Anthony Brown on the other side, pick 6. And I thought, well, good. That'll help his confidence, because he's going to get a whole lot of business.
That's the guy. You find a weak link and you tug on it. Skip, why would I fool with Trevon Diggs, who's going to be an all-pro at the corner position, when I can go at this guy?
Unless you think my guy's just better than Trevon Diggs.
No, I just put my the second best guy, you got to eat.
Okay.
You put the number 1 receiver on Rod, I'm going to eat today. You put the number 1 receiver on Ed, I'm going to eat today.
Okay.
I'm going to eat today.
Eat, Trevon, eat.
All right, we're going to have to see how he does it, if he can break that record. I know it's hard to do.
No mercy.
Don't miss your chance to win $25,000 of Terry Bradshaw's money on the Fox Bet Super 6 app, where players have won over $5 million total. Last week, there were 6 jackpot winners of the Thursday Night Football contest, and you could be the next one. So scan the QR code, download the app, and answer 6 questions about tonight's Bucs-Eagles game for your shot to win it. It is completely free to play. Best of luck. I hope you win some money. And it is tonight. Tonight will be Tom Brady's first Thursday night game on Fox, since His infamous moment a year ago when he seemingly forgot what down it was at the end of the loss against the Bears. Brady joked about it, the instance this summer, and the quarterback obviously got the last laugh after the Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl following that little mistake there. It happens. It happens to all of us, right? Shannon, what is the biggest change between now and then?
What happened?
Stop it. Don't do that. That's mean.
Keep laughing.
They won the Super Bowl.
It was laying down, Skip.
You laughed all the way to the Super Bowl, right?
It happens, right?
You know, the biggest thing was after the bye week, they got an opportunity to sit down and they evaluated. They looked at what they were doing well and what they weren't doing well. And what they decided to do was, like, incorporate a lot of what Tom Brady had done for the 20 years when he was in New England. A lot of screens to the running back, a lot of short stuff, a lot of motion. Not to totally take all. We don't have to throw the ball down the field 35 yards down the field 15 times a game. We'll keep them honest. We'll throw 2 or 3 times and hit one of those shots here or there. But let's go back to do what Tom Brady does, and that's the mark of a great coach. Bruce Arians swallowed his pride because, Skip, he's a no-risk-it, no-biscuit type of guy. But no-risk-it, no-biscuit wasn't getting them the results that they'd hoped for. And the really good coaches says, let me cater to what my players do really well and not say, well, this is my system and this is what we do. Well, doing what you do in your system will get you beat. So what he did, he incorporated a lot of what Tom Brady has had success doing. They dumped the ball. Leonard Fournette wasn't a guy that caught screens in Jacksonville.
He was not.
That's not what he does. But that's what all of a sudden he started to do. They started doing motion. So Tom Brady could identify, oh, okay, now you make everything so identifiable for me.
It's just man or zone. You can just see it immediately.
And plus, I'll know where you might be coming from. So for me, Skip, I think that has a lot to do with it. The defense started playing better.
It did.
And so it wasn't anything big where they completely changed and revamped the offense. They didn't do any of that. All they did was add a few tweaks. Okay, Tom, you like screens? Okay, fine. Dump it down to the running back. You like this intermediate routes? Okay, do that. Yeah, we'll give you some motion so you can make everything easily more identifiable. And they caught fire. And confidence has a lot to do. Momentum is big in the NFL. Because now all of a sudden, hold on, we scored 35. Defense, y'all didn't give up a 10. You know that's a recipe for success. And Tom started to say, hey, guys, we got something special here. Tom tell you got something. A coach telling you that, yeah, you always, that's what we supposed to gas up. But when Tom Brady says, we got something special, guys, they bought in.
So that classic Thursday night game at Chicago a little more than a year ago was the classic, I want you to keep that same energy game, because the next day you came in here and I don't know where I am.
I'm in Vegas.
Okay. I told you, I believe he got concussed. I don't think his wife wants to hear this, but I believe he did, because he took more punishment in that game than in any other game, regular season or playoffs last year.
Well, it was that unnecessary roughness that Khalil Mack got when Khalil slung him down.
3 sacks, 8 hits on the quarterback is a lot of punishment. The line did not stand up that night on a Thursday night at Chicago. He lost again to the immortal Nick Foles in that game. And yet, if you want to put it in perspective, there was no AB yet. Gronk was limpy and gimpy and caught 3 for 32. Mike Evans was limpy and gimpy on a bad ankle and managed to catch 5 for 41. Didn't do much damage as he usually does. The leading receiver was the rookie Tyler Johnson that night, which should tell you most of what you need to know. And 3 targets were aimed at my little man, Keyshawn Vaughn, out of Vanderbilt, another rookie. And also that little Jaden Mickens, who's the punt returner, was playing receiver that night because there was no Scotty Miller. He was hurt and out. So Jaden Mickens got 2 targets that night. Finally, there was no Chris Godwin that night. So if you take away those kind of weapons, if you can add in an AB and a Chris Godwin, now you're going to have something, because they start to become uncoverable when they're healthy and at full strength. Yet we went on to that Sunday nightmare against New Orleans at home when I was more worried about the defense than the offense because Drew Brees threw a party that night at Tampa, remember? And then the Rams visited, and they had their way with the defense even more than Brady did with the offense. So if we hark back to the Chicago night, they lost 20-19, and Brady wasn't terrible. He was 25 of 41 for 253, a touchdown, and no picks. So it was okay. QBR was 42, a little below average, but not deplorable, not embarrassing or disgusting, okay? So what happened? In the second quarter against Kansas City, after Tyreek just ran wild on them in the first quarter, they were so desperate. They were so in give up, like we give up kind of mode. Not that they gave up as a team, but just as an offense, it's like, well, let Brady call it. And he started calling a lot of it at the line of scrimmage. And they started to bounce back. And you recall Shaq Barrett finally got the turnover in the second quarter.
It was about to be 24-0.
It was about to be 24-0. And all of a sudden, Brady ended up making kind of a game of it in the fourth quarter. It was kind of, he made it respectable at least. And then came that bye week. And I was told by a high-placed source that they actually gave the whole offense pretty much up to Tom and just said, you tell us, what do you want to do? To your point, screens, motion, audibles. Let me have some more check with me's at the line of scrimmage. Let me do a little more of the play calling on the fly instead of it just comes in cold and I run what you call.
Yeah, because, Skip, when you get in a situation like that, when you're down by as much as you are, the one thing you want to do is get the ball out of your hand quick. And so what he started doing against Kansas City, started getting the ball out of his hand quick. And so now, all of a sudden, that got him into a rhythm. And so quarterbacks, they're very rhythmic. Once you get them into a rhythm, good luck stopping them. He got into a rhythm, and you see that he brought him all the way back, and it took Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek on a fourth down to keep Tom from getting the ball back because I wouldn't have liked their chances had Brady got that ball back.
So it was one of the great late career bounce backs to go from, I don't know where I am, to at age 43, they get on a Super Bowl roll. And now he comes back with an actual offseason and a little bit of preseason that they didn't have in the pandemic before. And if we could just quickly see what he looked like, just look at the body language, the confidence with which he threw the 5 touchdown passes against the Dolphins. Again, there's Gio, who's another new weapon out of the backfield that he did not have. And then here he is. That was a great throw because he took it right in the face and hit AB as he was cutting up field, and he is gone. Well, AB looks fresher and faster than he did because he got his knee cleaned up. And there's another one, quick one. And then here these are things of beauty to Mike Evans, who's only 6 feet 5 inches tall. And then once again, and he does the rest of the work. And the Dolphins at that point said, no mas. Okay? I got you. But I'm just showing you Brady's body language now. He's looking 24 years old. He's looking like it's 2007 back in New England.
But if you notice, Skip, what you didn't show is nobody putting Brady on the ground.
They did not.
You got to rough him up some. Because if you don't, you leave him upright, that's what you're going to get.
And the line is starting to gel again to where they're getting pretty impenetrable. It will be interesting tonight in Philadelphia to see if they can generate any pressure from anywhere on him, because if they don't, that spreads, I think, 7.5. No, is it 6.5? 6. I was going to say 7. 6.5. That is not enough. I got to tell you.
I don't think so. I was thinking it was going to be like somewhere between 8 and 10.
Because I would think they could win this game by at least a couple of touchdowns.
Well, I guess they factored in that Brady dinged his thumb on a helmet when he was throwing the pass last week, and so I guess they factored that in. It's a short week. It's on the road.
They have one really good cornerback. Darius Slay is up at the top of the list for me.
And Hargrove might be their best defensive player. He might have taken that mantle from Fletcher Cox. He's sensational, Skip.
He's sensational. So they got that going. You know, I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan as a playmaker. But they're going to have to control the football and play keep away and make plays and convert third downs, and maybe they can hang in there. But if I were a betting man, I would give the...
But, Skip, the Eagles are going to be... with David being out, the banged-up secondary, the Eagles might be able to score some points. Now, can they score enough? Can they keep up with...
David is definitely out. By the way, Gronk is definitely out again.
But I'm not surprised by Gronk, Skip, for the simple fact, let me give him an extra week. We bring him back. Well, come on. You should be able to beat. You should be able to beat the Eagles.
The mini bye.
Right. Yeah. So now you don't have to worry about that until next Sunday.
Antoine Winfield concussed, so he's out.
So give him another week.
You've got a chance against their vulnerable defense, especially the back end.
They can score, but can they score enough? Because they got some weapons. Devontae and Reagor. Devontae and Reagor. They got I think Goddard's out, Skip. Yeah, he's been banged up. I think he has COVID or something. So they can score, but can they score enough? The Eagles, can you get some pressure? Can you steal one possession for your offense? Can you get Brady on the? Can you knock him down? Can you sack him 2 or 3 times? Can you knock him down multiple times? That's gonna be the key to the ball game.
At least 2 touchdowns.
At least 2, huh?
Yeah, maybe more.
Give me 2.
Would you take it?
Give me 14, I'd take the Eagles.
You would take 14 in the Eagles? I can't bet against Jalen Hurts. I would do it. My instinct tells me I would beat you on that, but I'm not going to bet against Jalen Hurts.
Well, how about this? I give you 14, I take the Patriots. I mean the Bucs.
Give me 14?
Yep.
No, I'm not going to do it.
I'm just trying to get a bet.
The little voice in the back of my head says this is going to be like 35-14.
Okay.
Yeah.
No mercy. Caleb Williams is reportedly getting first-team reps for Oklahoma this week at practice after he replaced an ineffective Spencer Rattler during the Sooners' big comeback win against Texas last Saturday. Rattler started the year as a Heisman favorite and was a projected top pick by many in the 2022 NFL Draft. Shannon, how surprised are you by all this?
I'm not surprised at all, and I've been telling you all along, Skip, I just don't see what you see. I didn't see it. I said, Skip, I don't see what you see. I know you're saying that Lincoln Riley is great, the quarterback whisperer, and he had 2 guys. Baker won the Heisman one year, and next year come Kyler, and then the next year, Jalen Hurts finished second. And I said, Skip, I just don't see it in this kid.
Yet I offered you a bet before the season started. I would take Spencer Rattler for the Heisman, and you turned me down.
I should have took Bryce Young. I didn't know what Bryce was going to do, but that's okay.
You did not have the courage of your conviction.
I got the courage of my conviction.
I think you started to see it in games 1, 2, 3, 4, when I'm like, what happened to you? Where did you go?
That was that guy all along, Skip.
Yeah.
Skip, look. Well, I mean, I don't know why you canceled the press conference. Everybody knew this Williams kid was going to start. You were down 28-7. This kid comes off the bench, and the greatest come from behind by either side in the 100-year history of the rivalry, he leads you to a victory.
I am still shaken from it. Seriously.
And so we thought that you were going to put this guy back on the bench. Skip, this ain't some walk-on. The guy was the #1 recruit in the nation. He was a 5-star.
5-star.
He ain't some bum. He ain't some fly-by-night.
Dual threat.
Yes. So for me, everybody, we can't read the student newspaper went to some building. They saw Caleb Williams taking all the slack. We knew who was going to start. You can do all that where, both guys will get reps. Man, you weren't fooling anybody. For that kid to do what he did, there's no way he wasn't going to start, Skip.
Okay. I will first tell you that in all my years, I have never seen anything like what has happened to Spencer Rattler in all my years. Last year, a year ago, in the Texas game, he got yanked for a couple of series. But he shook it off, and he came back, and he led us. And I am a dyed-in-the-wool, born and raised University of Oklahoma fan. He brought us back to an overtime win over Texas, and they won out. They won their next 7, and he went 15 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He was the runaway Heisman favorite before the year started, and he
#1 pick,
consensus overall #1 pick. And you're telling me he's about to lose his job?
No, he ain't about to. He lost it.
All right. I wasn't sure about that until I read the student paper report. They were up in one of the towers looking down on the field. They tried to sort of blot out the windows of a lot of the dorms during the pandemic last year because they didn't want some kid just looking out his dorm window because they overlooked the practice field. Well, this is the first time you got an issue going on because what happened in the Oklahoma game also dumbfounded me. I loved what Caleb Williams had done, and he made the play of the year to Marvin Mims, if we could see the throw that got them in position to tie the game with the 2-point play. This is the one where he just took my breath away, and I said, okay, that's the guy. He throws it on the run off the wrong foot to Marvin Mims, who'd been sort of an also-ran because he'd lost his wavelength with Rattler. Look at this throw. I mean, I'm just
he throws that ball 55, 57 yards.
Off the wrong foot running forward, okay? And then that sets up a 2-point conversion to tie. Well, guess what Caleb Williams had been doing all year? He had been running short yardage and goal line. Right. That's what he does. He runs the 2-point plays because he can run it as well as throw it. And what happens? He sends Spencer Rattler back in. I said, Lincoln, what are you doing? You're sending the guy back in who does this worst.
Right.
This is where he chokes. This is where he goes blind. And he throws it to Stoops' kid, little Drake Stoops, for the 2-point conversion to tie the score. You're kidding me. So it gave me pause, and it led me to believe, gee, is he going to try to work Spencer Rattler back into the starting lineup this coming week? And by the way, Holly Rowe at ESPN tweeted after the game that she was lined up ready to interview Caleb Williams, and Lincoln walked over and said, no, he will not be interviewed. And it shocked me because the kid deserved his moment, man.
Exactly.
I mean, he had earned, if any freshman had ever earned the opportunity to get some national pub, he deserved it.
Yeah, you got to let him have that moment.
Okay, let him have that moment. But I thought, well, is he trying to protect the kid, or is he just trying to keep him kind of in the shadows because he wants Spencer Rattler to get the job back?
Right.
I wasn't sure until I read this report, and now it seems full-on sure that it's going in that direction.
Well, his dad is sure, because you heard what his dad said, Spencer Rattler dad said yesterday.
Well, and again, he has another year of eligibility, and I assume if this is where we're heading, he's going to transfer.
Oh, yeah, he's going to transfer. Okay. Because he can't come out now, Skip. After this, his stock is too low.
Well, now he's like a 6th rounder. He went from top of the draft to... I'm thinking...
I've never seen anything like this.
Never. And by the way, he is still by far the most popular and marketable player in college football because of the new NIL arrangement that they have. He's projected to make $800,000 this year. He's represented by that Steinberg agency, the Lee Steinberg that represents Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And he's got 2 vehicles from a car dealership in Oklahoma City. He's got
they're going to ask for one of them to get one of them to Caleb Williams.
They said not, but they gave him a Dodge Ram and a Dodge Charger. They're not like exorbitantly priced, but
well, you ain't got nothing. They're very good. That's
you got
Ferraris.
2 of them.
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
2 of them. And again, there's this, the CEO of a big technology company called Open Doors. He said Spencer Rattler is the most marketable college football player still. There is no doubt. The fact that this story tells you that this is a story tells you how marketable he is. Well, they're saying he's still marketable even though he's losing his job.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. It tells you, why this is a story, is that the guy came in as the projected Heisman frontrunner, the consensus #1 overall pick, and he got benched. That's why it's a story. There's nobody caring about no marketability, Skip.
No, I got it. And to me, after he got such a hot hand, listen, this kid can't wing it now. He's got a slingshot arm, but he lost his way. He lost his poise. He lost his guts in the pocket. He started
was bad
to retreat.
all year, Skip.
He's just been bad from the start. They almost lost to Tulane to start the year. And I'm saying, what are you doing? Then every once in a while, he'll throw a rocket. And you say, okay, there he is. But no, he's not.
The marketability only matters to those companies that he's marketing, Skip. They don't... Lincoln Riley don't care about no marketability.
No.
Can you win me a game? I need winnability. I don't care about no marketability. I need winnability. Well, and he believes Williams gives him a better chance to win than Spencer Rattler.
And by the way, Caleb Williams didn't play last year because of the COVID. He just opted out and enrolled early and played in the spring game. And all my friends watched the spring game, and they said, this kid can play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go.
They've been excited about him for a while now. And it is Lincoln's long-standing policy to not let freshmen speak to the media. That has been the case for years. I'm not saying I agree with the idea that he shouldn't have spoken after that game and that comeback, but that is, of course, what Lincoln Riley has been saying to me for years. He's strict with his policy, guys. He is. He's really strict.
No mercy.
Tonight, Thursday Night Football is on Fox. Tom Brady and the Bucs are on a roll, but Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and the Eagles might have something special for them in Philly tonight, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video. Interim head coach Rich Bisaccia took the reins leading the Raiders this week following the resignation of Jon Gruden. The longtime special teams coordinator spoke with the media for the first time yesterday. Take a listen.
Coach Gruden gave me a chance to coach in the National Football League. I'll always be appreciative of that. That being said, we all have a responsibility here and have to be held to be accountable to our words and our actions. No one person is bigger than the Raiders shield.
Shannon, your reaction to your first glimpse of Rich Bisaccia?
Well, he said a lot of the right things, Skip, that the Raiders, I don't know if they still do, but I know they once did, stood for diversity and inclusion, social justice, because of what his father did. His father hired the first modern African-American coach, Art Shell, in 1989. Tom Flores, Hispanic coach, won 2 Super Bowls. Amy Trask, who I worked with at CBS for a number of years, a woman and higher-up CEO, when no one else is even thinking about putting people like this in position, Al Davis did that. Going to HBCUs and getting players, he did that. So for me, I know what his father stood for. I don't know what Mark Davis stands for. Now, back to this situation. My grandfather used to tell my brother and I, Skip, association brings on assimilation. It's hard.
He said that?
Yeah, Skip. That what he used to tell us all the time. He wanted us to be careful.
It was Gandhi.
He wanted us to be very careful who you hung around with. Because if they had bad habits, if you're not careful, you start doing those bad habits as well. It's hard for me to believe that you've known this man as long as he's known Jon Gruden. So the question is, now, he's going to have to convince the men that he's going to have to stand before now that I'm nothing like Jon Gruden. And even in my private life, my private conversations are nothing like you heard him give on that email. That's what he's going to have to do, Skip. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm saying that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to convince those guys that I'm nothing like the guy that I've known who's been a friend of mine for 20-plus years. Good luck with that.
Okay, I hear everything you just said, but to me, the elevation of Rich Bisaccia to replace Jon Gruden as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders is Mark Davis displaying his middle finger to the NFL, saying, okay, if you took away my brother, Jon Gruden, unfairly, if you exposed him and you forced me to fire him, I think he was fired. He was given the option. Okay. If you're going to do that, then I'm going to elevate his longtime assistant head coach, dating all the way back to their days, the first days together, 2002 in Tampa. And if you look at the biography here of Rich Bisaccia, he starts at Wayne State as an assistant, and then South Carolina, Clemson, Ole Miss, and then Gruden hires him 2002 and soon makes him the assistant head coach as well as the special teams coordinator. And he stays with him all the way up through 2010 when Jon left, obviously, to go to ESPN to do Monday Night Football. And Rich has to bounce to the Chargers, and he was with my Cowboys briefly as special teams coordinator and also became assistant head coach. And then as soon as Jon came back into the game, he went right back with Jon. He is his closest friend in the game of football. After what happened to Jon, what got exposed about Jon's bigotry, now you're going to take his best friend in coaching, his longtime assistant head coach, his joined at the hip coach, and you're going to elevate him and say, guess what, league? I'm doing it again. I'm going to go with this guy. It's incomprehensible, unconscionable.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that obviously Gus Bradley, who's on the staff, who's the defensive coordinator, who's been a head coach, I'm surprised he didn't get the job.
I agree.
But like you said, Skip, when you hired someone who's been a friend, the player's like, hold on, you mean to tell me this is what the man talks like in his private conversation? You've been his best friends for the better part of 2 decades. You trying to tell me you and he haven't had conversations like this at some point in time?
Now, I'm not saying Rich speaks that way or has those thoughts, but he certainly knew what Jon was. And usually birds of a feather flock together. Usually.
That's why you see pigeons hang with pigeons and penguins hang with penguins. You don't see, Skip, you don't see those two. That's not how it works. So for me,
although weirdly, Hazel has become friend of the squirrels.
She be trying to catch him.
No, she doesn't try to catch them. She just
watches them.
She likes them. Anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, Skip, I think the thing is that's what he's going to have to do. You're going to have to stand before men and convince them that you're nothing like the previous head coach and that you're your own man and you have their best interest and these are not the feelings that you harbor.
Okay, and predictably, in the clip that we just saw, he's a little awkward, a little uncomfortable up there. He's never done that before. He's never been the head coach.
And plus, Skip, you got to say, he had to say, I think I heard him to say that, we're accountable for our words and damn, that's Jon. I mean, I really like. So it was a little, Skip, it's a little tough. I can imagine it's tough that you got the job and you probably wanted to be a head coach, but you didn't want it like this. And then one of your best friends, he gets outed for being insensitive to a lot of demographics that the NFL says we're very inclusive with. So it's tough on him, but good luck trying to convince those men that you don't harbor those feelings that your previous boss did.
Good luck to the Raiders, because I like this team, and I'm not sure I love it going forward.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's bound to be at this point.
Don't they play the Broncos this week?
I think so. Does that sound right?
We're going to put Fuss in.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
We'll put Fuss. I feel good.
Well, you should feel good.
We'll put Fuss in.
No mercy.
The Mavs blew out the Hornets in a preseason game, 127-59 last night. Luka scored 10 points in the 68-point win, which had the largest margin of victory in a preseason game since 1995. So, Shannon, was this more about Dallas or Charlotte?
Skip, look. The Hornets didn't have Rozier, they didn't have Oubre, they didn't have Gordon Hayward. Skip, look, I believe the Mavericks are a better team than the Hornets. But 70 points better? No, I don't believe that. They just had a bad game. And that's what it was. I'm watching this game, and it was close. I'm like, okay, man, Charlotte looking good. And the next thing I know is like, okay, it's 15, and then it's 20, and then it's 30. I'm like, what the hell is, I'm like, then it just got to the point, Skip, I didn't even think they were trying anymore.
Okay, I thought the Dallas Mavericks made a statement. I know it was just preseason, but it was their dress rehearsal game, said Jason Kidd, their new coach. And Porzingis is back in his happy place.
Yes.
Because he has been forced back into the equation with Luka. Because Luka just ignored him in the playoffs. Right. He went and stood in the corner, right? And all of a sudden, I see Porzingis make 7 out of 10 shots. And Luka was no good last night. He just scored 10 points, right, on 2 of 8 from 3. And yet LaMelo was 2 of 10 from the floor. So I give you the Charlotte part, but I think the Mavericks are saying, Lakers, we're here too.
Yeah, the Mavericks are good, but I don't think they're 70 points better than Charlotte. And plus, Porzingis was running the floor, Skip. He wasn't standing in the corner. We got the real thing next
week. Skip, Shannon, great stuff today. Undisputed back tomorrow. Herds on now. Have a good day.